You briefly mentioned it already, Brenda, the comparison between, and I'm again really looking forward to your findings in regards to these different entities cross-culturally and how they match and don't match. It's going to be
Right.
really interesting to see. Um, but how did, so I guess the next question is, when did you first come across the idea of the jinn in particular? And what was it like that about the phenomena itself that you had studied that led you to start making those connections? Like, did something stick out to you straight away?
I don't remember exactly.
Was it long,
I
long ago?
it was quite a while ago. It was, I knew that the Islamic world had the idea of jinn within it. But what that meant, how that worked, some more of the fine points about it, I had no idea. I had to start doing quite a bit of reading to figure out, okay, what knowledge does the Islamic world have for us about this particular kind of entity?
Mhm, mhm. And when you started looking into it, are there certain features or aspects of the jinn that stick out to you for you personally when it comes to the phenomena?
Um, the fact that they shapeshift, the fact that they're tricksters, which is an anthropologically polite way of saying they don't always tell the truth or behave like we would expect a sane, rational person to behave. Um, the fact that they're said to be made out of what, fire or fire and air, and when you think of what a plasma looks like, at least a plasma made out of light matter, material matter, um, that's a real good description of. I've
Mhm.
seen plasmas formed in laboratories. When you look at some of the orbs that are associated with UFOs, they look like they roil and move and boil inside, like the plasmas I've seen in laboratories. So I assume they may be roughly analogous. And that sounds exactly like how the jinn are described.
Mhm.
So it's, the identification is, it's hard to miss. They seem to appear in the same way. They shapeshift. They pop in and pop out. Um, they are not necessarily reliable uh, sources of information. They like to mess around with humans. Some of them do, at least.
Mhm.
Um, those are the
Yes,
ones that stood out.
and stood out to you. I remember the first time for me funnily enough, Skinwalker Ranch. I think it
Right.
was the first season
Yeah.
when it came out several years ago. And what's really fascinating about that place and other such places is that you don't have one type of manifestation. You have
Yeah.
the whole,
Yeah.
Heinz 57. You got everything going on in one place. Cryptids, UFOs, paranormal activity, different frequencies and radiation and all of this type of stuff that's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Doppelgangers and yeah,
Mm-hmm.
everything is literally happening in one location. And then the question arises, well, is this what's the most sound inference you can make here? Is this many different unusual paranormal superspectral energies, forces, entities that have somehow just all ended up in one place? Or is it one source which is manifesting in various different ways? So that was initial thing for me. And then the second thing I thought for me that struck me was, like you said, the hitchhiker effect. When I heard that concept, it's a very fitting term if you think about it. Something that attaches itself to you, catches a ride, basically, leaves with you, goes home. Um, what's Have you researched the hitchhiker effect in much detail?
I have not. Have you?
Briefly, but not
Mhm.
in too much depth. I think you mentioned this to me earlier about Eric Davies, and I saw it on a
Yes.
forum online as well. That he had an event. where he was
Mhm.
overtaken by something
Right.
and he couldn't
He
recall
was
it.
he was possessed. Momentarily,
Wow.
he was possessed
Mhm.
by an entity that used his vocal apparatus to say something. I don't know. I don't remember what it said. But then it released him. It didn't take over for long. And this is when he and at least one other person were out, chasing an orb across the Skinwalker property. And
Mhm.
if I recall correctly, it had taken r- taken rest in some treetops or among some branches, and the other person and Eric were standing, back a ways, and trying to um, figure out what to do about it. And at one point, it just took Eric over for a moment, a few
Wow.
moments.
And did he vocalize? Was he speaking in his own voice, or did the voice change?
I if I recall correctly, the voice was slightly different. It wasn't quite his voice, but I
Mhm.
don't know if I'm remembering that correctly. But it was
Mhm.
definite
Mhm.
that the person or people who were with him, it was very clear that this was not Eric, that he was gone.
Mhm. And he couldn't recall anything once he came back around, right?
Couldn't recall a thing. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I remember when you told me that, I literally sent a shiver down my spine because I was thinking, like, because I've spoken to so many, Islamic
Right.
exorcists or Muslim
Yes.
exorcists,